Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 20 of the anime series Log Horizon 2. And I loved that we got to see Nyanta throwing down in this episode, the vast majority of it. He was going up against Londark, as well as this Mizufa character, as well as this character Kazuhiko. And it was really interesting. I have to first acknowledge a commenter in my previous episode discussion video had corrected my misinterpretation of where we'd seen Londark before. I had made the assumption that he hailed back to the Debauchery Tea Party, which wasn't actually the case. He's actually from the Demikos Guild, and so, that had thrown me for a loop to a degree, but of course, we then pick up in this episode with this character, Kazuhiko, who does go back to the Debauchery Tea Party. I mean, the words exchanged between he and Nyanta pretty much confirmed that, they know each other, they were friends, and both are on different sort of wavelengths now. You have Kazuhiko who's working with this Mizufa character, and at least Nyanta suspects that Shiro was correct in making the assumption that Kazuhiko is trying to change, this particular dark, ominous group that Mizufa leads from the inside, but he's been with them so long, Nyanta also speculates that his goodness has perchance left him, or at least he doesn't have a lot of it. It's not his most foremost character feature, if you will. And I love that a lot of the discussion is very much revolving around, as I've speculated, and as Shiro has been calling and warning all the people of the Round Table, there is war brewing between the adventurers and the people of the land. And we see that this Mizufa character is sort of central to that. She desperately wants war. She's been bulking herself up and making herself uber strong, as well as probably her people of the land disciples, if you will. She has adventurers working with her. I mean, Londark, we find out, was just a hired hand. He was muscle to protect their train as it's, traversing the land and everything and trying to wreak havoc all over the place. And Nyanta, he doesn't want to have to fight. He's trying to assess the situation, what exactly the motivations are here. His first, sort of uncovering of truth is that Londark is a hired hand, is muscle. And this is when the Mizufa character sort of intervenes and she just offs Londark without even a second thought, because to her, the adventurers in this environment, they have it so easy. They can come back to life in the blink of an eye. There is no death for them. There is no, ceasing to be. And this is the largest, I guess you could say, impetus in her wanting to conquer and create war. I don't know if it goes deeper down, because, of course, we see with the Odyssey Knights that they are almost wishing for death. They don't want to live in this, Elder Tale come-to-life realm for eternity, as seems to be the case for everyone. And so they're almost praying and begging for death. They're throwing themselves into any situation that will hopefully cease them to be. And that's kind of sort of what we're getting the vibe from this Mizufa character. She maybe is envious of adventurers in that, sort of plight that they are faced with, this eternal living. But, because of that, because of those odds, the way they're laid against each other between these two factions, the people of the land and the adventurers, she's calling for war. She's like getting off on the idea of making, the most hard situation out of all of this existence, because their world, the people of the land's world, was turned topsy-turvy just as much as the adventurers. And it seems like Shiro and the kids, Toya, Minori, Suzu, especially in this episode toward the end of it, these are characters who are all like trying to make the best of the equation, trying to bridge the gap of peace, and you have these characters who they don't want to exist here anymore. They want to go back to the world they knew. They're willing to, at this point, embrace madness and anarchy and death if it will bring them out of having to live this eternal sort of turmoil-laden life. And that's really what we find is the kernel at the center of what Mizufa's doing with her, intervening and offing Londark. She's attacking Nyanta, who is also returning the blows. And we see Nyanta has such a high level of skill, he can almost off her. And this is where Kazuhiko comes in. And you can see I'm just pumped about this whole situation, because I just love seeing Nyanta throw down. I love seeing this sort of hardship that has grown between these two characters who were well, respected between each other in the past, and now they're at odds. They have, differing sort of outlooks on life now is the emphasis we're seeing in this episode, to the point where this Kazuhika character, he is extremely strong as well. Basically, Nyanta goes for a killing blow for the second time on Mizufa, and this guy intervenes for the second time. He grabs Nyanta's blade with his bare hand, blood trickling out, insanely, but he's holding that blade that Nyanta was trying to strike Mizufa with, and calling it quits, stopping any effort right then and there. All of this coinciding with, once again, we're calling back on this Dariella personification of Nereha, who has been sort of the unwitting pawn of Mizufa as well. And it's very intriguing, sort of her inner dialogue to herself. She has found friendship with these kids for the first time in this world. Interesting, I'll get to this in a moment. Another character has similar words to say, but it's very intriguing to me that as Nereha, you have her calling back on the friendship these kids have given her, Toya, Minori, all of them, as she's been sidled up with them, unknowingly, I guess, that they were relating back to Shiro. But Shiro is her chief among modus operandi and, her interests in this world. She considers him the highest speciality in this world for the abilities he has, for, I guess, his wanting to create peace in this world, bridge that gap between the people of the land and the adventurers. I don't know exactly what it is that so attracts her to him, but whatever the case, because of the friendship she has received, because of the outlook he has and the way he has conducted himself in this world, trying to level the playing field and do all these master manipulator things to, make everyone on equal footing, she comes to realize that this order passed down by Mizufa that she's been following along with is horrendous. It's wrong. And so basically we see the guy who went looking for her a couple episodes back now. I had wondered if he would catch up with her and find her. He does find her walking through this city that is, being destroyed by the wyverns and everything. We've been here for a few episodes. And she basically passes down a contrary order. Take out the wyverns. Stop this destruction. Forget what Mizufa has said and put forth. I am commanding now. And she then, as this guy goes off to, conduct that order, she just walks off, transforms back into this Dariella guise, and smiles to herself because she hopes that Shiro will become aware of what she's done and be proud of what she's done and, offer accolades for this change in demeanor and character and order. And that, it's just uber fascinating to me because it's like, all these characters seem to be so far apart, so far displaced, and yet they are all on relative sort of story arcs or directional avenues, if you will. And as I say, this goes back to this Kazuhiko character stopping Nyanta from killing this Mizufa woman, if he could even do so, with his lethal blow. They basically give you the impression that he could end her right then and there, but Kazuhiko intervenes, and it's because he has been passed down this order that countermands what Mizufa's been doing. That is just absolutely astounding. You can see she is livid at this realization. She is absolutely, the utmost peeved and angered by this particular flopping on its side, her previous order, to just wreak havoc all over the place. And I have to wonder what is going to happen as a result. What the ramifications are going to be. Is she going to seek this Nereha character, in her Dariella guise, whether she can sense her or not? Is she going to seek her and try to reap vengeance? Will she try to come up with another way? Or because we're winding down toward the end of this particular season of Log Horizon, is this where it ends? I don't know. It's left for us to speculate, I guess, unless you've read the light novels or whatever, the manga that this is based on. No spoilers, please, in the comments below. But for me as a viewer, I have no idea where we go from here, except to say we sort of leave this episode off on a high note, calling back on the realizations and the turmoil that is building and has built inside Isuzu. She's really had a sort of crisis of self in the last couple of episodes. even in her discussions with Rundle House, Rudy, she has seemed to really feel a lot worse about the scenario. And seeing that Toya does not want to give up in his, trying to get up in the face of the Odyssey Knights, who are really about trying to off themselves, as I said, and everything. And Toya is trying to talk, sort of sense to them and everything like that, to the point where they're threatening to kill him. And once, Rudy and Isuzu and Sarara, they catch up with Toya in the midst of this, Isuzu just has like this breakout moment where she screams, "That's enough. We've got to do something here." She finally harkens back on those words that Rudy passed her about the 42 songs, or the only 42 songs in this environment that the people of the land have. And she wants to create a 43rd. She wants to break beyond the normalcy of this realm and give people a reason to live, give them a sort of viewpoint of positivity. And so we have once again her performing this song, and we see people glowing as a result of it. I don't know if this means that it's affecting them. I don't know if it means that they're just feeling a sense of healing, whatever the case may be. But I love that she has finally found herself, in a sense. She's talking about all these things, recollecting back on the revelations we got of her real world persona, and feeling that she could try her best to become a professional musician and all this kind of stuff. But she now realizes, even if I falter, even if I fail at that, I still have things to be the impetus behind my living to the fullest. I can still love and appreciate music. I can still create it. I may not become the best professional at this that, my dreams and hopes behold, but I still have a fight left in me. I can still reach for the stars with this love of music and all this stuff. And so she creates this song. And it's just a beautiful sort of, bow wrapping up where we leave off this episode. And another standout moment is actually thanks to Ro 2, who is the character I mentioned earlier, who has very similar dialogue that seems to coincide with Nareha, talking about being a princess who was either lost or cast out or forgotten. And I don't know if she is describing in that moment herself, or the summon that she then later, calls forth, the Sword Princess Alkenhe, or whatever it's pronounced, this summon monster creature, whatever you want to call it, that totally just blows all of the wyverns out of the water, all of the nightshades that have taken over this little town, this village, whatever you want to say. In that moment, Ro 2 has very similar dialogue to what we've heard Nareha in this episode saying about not having had friends and finding newfound friends for the very first time in this world, referring to princess and all this kind of stuff. Again, I'm not entirely sure what the implication is. Is it meant to say that Ro 2 and Nareha are somehow simpatico or somehow linked? Something along those lines. Is it a misdirection? Is it just a coincidence? Was she referring to this summon that she then called forth instead of it, pertaining to who Ro 2 really is, or the motivations behind her character? She's still a mystery to me. I mean, I kind of have a sense of, we've already seen, as somebody pointed out in my previous episode discussion video, characters who are sort of AI in this environment that have begun to grow their own personalities. One of the characters previous, the maid character in that one episode was pretty much admittedly one of these, and sort of a robot in the sense of, a non-playable character, an NPC in this environment formerly. And now she's roving around and has a personality and a sort of conscience of her own, much like the people of the land. And so there's that aesthetic. There's also the aesthetic of sort of duplicate avatars, and how closely this character Ro 2 looks to embody the look and design of Shiro's sort of avatar. And so, I mean, is it relating to him? Is it relating to Nareha? I don't know. It's still, the jury is still out for me personally. I'm trying to come to the conclusion without looking into spoilers and see if I can decipher what exactly is going on. When we see the preview for this, oncoming episode to follow, it says that Ro 2 departs, leaving the kids a message from Shiro. I leave it there. That's kind of where I leave it, with the big, question mark leaning in that direction, like, maybe he's been here all along. I don't know. So yeah, This episode was bombastic. It was awesome. A large chunk of it was just Nyanta throwing down with these characters. All the while exposition was being, let out about what exactly, this Mizufa character's motivations have been. But I was still on the edge of my seat. I was riveted throughout the majority of it. Loved it. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 20 of Log Horizon 2, if you've seen it. And if you can perceive where you think they're going without any spoilers, speculation only, if you please, in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope this video finds you well. And I'll catch you all later. Peace.